Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we help our families that are tackling this whole idea of getting into college make it much simpler, or at least give them tips and tricks so that you know what's happening and how you can navigate that. I'm Kristin Clark. I'm a career exploration coach for 16 to 26-year-olds, and I'm here with Bobby. Bobby's our ACT and SAT guru, and something that we have this series going on talking about this new ACT, I guess, updated assessment or test. So, and today we're going to take you through the math section. So I'm going to pass this over to you, Bobby.
Sounds great. Yeah. So actually, yesterday was ACT score release day, and that was the first scores released from the official new enhanced ACT. And so far, my students and students nationally, from what we're hearing, got scores that were very much in line with what they were expecting. Very good scores. So any fears anyone had that the new enhanced ACT was going to be weird or have a harder scoring scale did not come to pass, at least not yet.
Good news. And I'm sure just a relief for everybody, right? That they're trying to figure this out.
Absolutely. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit more today, because the new enhanced ACT, last week we talked about how the English, or 2 weeks ago, the English section got easier and the test is shorter. And we were a little worried that easier might mean the scoring got strange or something, but apparently it did not. And so today we're going to talk about how they changed the math section. And the math section really didn't change very much. I'm going to share, the things. Here's like the strategies that I recommend on math. The math test used to be 20 easy and then 20 medium and then 20 hard questions. Now, instead of 60 questions, it's only 45. But they kind of cut out some of the easy and medium questions. So the test does feel harder, but it's shorter, which is better, right?
Okay.
So it gets harder more quickly, but it doesn't matter because your score is still just compared to everyone else. And so the thing that everybody needs to remember is, just like it was before, if you can find 2/3 of the questions on the test and get them correct, right, that will score a 27, which is a top 15% score in the nation, right? You could literally answer 2/3 of the questions on the test, fill in A on the other 15 questions. That scores a 27. So you don't need to worry about rushing and getting to every question. You just need to know strategies for getting through, right, the questions.
Well, and Bobby, we always talk about this, but that's one of the things that I love about clients coming to you and your philosophy on this. It just dumbs this down. It makes it less like scary.
Right.
How do we do this logically? So
Absolutely.
again,
Right.
kudos.
Yeah. And don't you don't have to be perfect at everything, right? Maximize your skills, do what you can. And so that is kind of simplifying things. You look here, I've got the 4 strategies in math. It's basically algebra, the first big strategy, still just like before. If you plug in numbers, you can guarantee you get every single algebra question correct on the test. Then if you know some basic calculator tricks, you can easily solve, maybe 5 to 10 questions on the test by just putting them in your calculator. And then the rest of it is just basic geometry, which you might be a little rusty on, but it is basic stuff. And then word problems and arithmetic. So let's just look at a couple of problems. One of the big new things is the ACT math test now has 4 answer choices instead of 5, which, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal.
Well, yeah, your averages, now you've got a 25% ability versus
right. 20%. Now when you guess, you've got a 25% chance of getting the right.
Yeah.
So 20, right. So it does make the test a little easier. And so the first big strategy, the same strategy that we've been using for 30 years, right, is anytime you see algebra, you just plug in numbers, right? Just throw numbers at the problem. And so, for instance, this problem you see on the screen.
Right? I think it's A63, but I don't know if I'm right.
Yeah, so it is, right? So if you know the exponent rules, absolutely, you just say, oh yeah, 3 times 21 is 63. But if you didn't remember that rule, it would seem like this would be an impossible question if you didn't know that rule, right? But the trick is, you don't need to remember that rule. You can just simply plug in any number you want. Like, let's say if you make A 2, right? Then you could just type this in your calculator and say, well, okay, 2 to the
2 times
2
2
cubed
times 2,
is
right?
8, and 8 to the 21st power is your calculator says, okay, it's this number, right? Well, then that's the answer to the question when A is 2. And so then you can just go over here and say, well, if A is 2, well, then choice A would be 63 times 2, right? That's not that same number, right? And you just keep putting numbers in there, keep putting the answers in there, putting 2 in, right?
Okay, Bobby,
Get down to choice.
you totally confused me on that.
Yeah, so like if you say, okay, if A is 2, I can just type this into my calculator and say, 2 cubed is 8, right? So I'm just putting the number 2 right here and then
Right.
put that in the calculator. And the calculator says that's 9 times 10 to the 18th power, which is some crazy big number. But whatever, that's the answer to the question when A is 2, right? And now just see which of these answers also gives me that same value. And
All
so
right.
you
Well,
just
I got to tell
put
you,
in 2 in each of the answers, right?
sure.
And see which one gives you that same number, and you put that one into the calculator and it says 2 to the 63rd power is that same weird number, right?
Oh, got it. So this is one of those fancy calculator things that I didn't have, by the way, when I was in high school.
Right. Now you can do that by hand as well, right? And so let's look at an example of that. So like the other one, and this is something we've all done before, is what if there are numbers in the answer choices, right? Well, then we can actually plug in the answer choices. Just work backwards from the answers and see which one is sorry, I'm moving. There we go. You can work backwards from the answer choices and just see which one works. So when you look at this question, you see how this kind of makes me feel like I'm supposed to do some algebra, right? Where it starts saying vanilla, chocolate, and strawberry adds up to 42, but chocolate is 11 more than vanilla, right?
Yeah.
So that makes me feel like I'm supposed to write down some algebra, but instead I can just work backwards from the answers. And so, for instance, the answers say, okay, we are
I'm trying to figure this
strawberry.
out.
Yeah. If the answers are strawberry ice cream cones, right? So instead of trying to figure it out like from there, start with what they're asking there at the end. What if we sold 11 strawberry cones, right? Well, if we sold 11 strawberry cones, well, then what can we calculate? Well, we know that there were 2 more vanilla sold than strawberry, right?
Yep.
So if you sold 11 strawberry, then how many vanilla would you sell? Well, I guess 13, right?
13. So that can't be the answer.
And then, well, if you keep working backwards, okay, then how many chocolate would we sell? Well, it's 11 more chocolate than vanilla. Okay, so chocolate would be 24.
Right.
Okay. But this is all supposed to add up to 42.
Right. I'm with you on that.
That adds up to 48. So that's not the answer.
So it's got to be the
What
9.
answer should we try now? I guess try a smaller one.
Yep.
Right. And now you just repeat that math. So 9 strawberry plus 2 is 11 vanilla plus 11 is 22 chocolate. Oh, that does add up to 42. Okay, great. That's the answer. And now we didn't have to write down a bunch of algebra, right?
For sure.
This is the way through all this, all that.
Well, and Bobby, I've heard you say this before. It's like, just really look at what they're saying to you.
Mhm.
Take your time, be logical, and don't freak out. It's
Absolutely.
What are they asking you to do?
Absolutely. And that's that first strategy is anytime you feel like writing down some algebra, just see if you can put some numbers into it and make it into an arithmetic problem. Totally works, right?
Yep.
So that takes care of about 25% of the test. And then the next thing is everyone, pretty much has this same calculator that everybody's been using for a long time, the TI-84 Plus, right? Same calculator that was made, when we were in high school, basically, or similar soon after. There are some questions you can just put in the calculator. So like, look at this thing, right? This is asking for like the equation of a parabola. So basically they want to know what parabola would have, what equation would make a parabola that looks like this, right? And you probably don't want to deal with those answers, right?
No.
But
I'm going to go with F though, just looking at this fast.
right.
Again, Bobby,
Yeah.
you got to remember, I went to high school 40 years ago.
Absolutely.
So,
Well, right. And that is the answer, right? And look at what happens if you just hit the graph button on the calculator and type it in. Well, that's what choice F, yeah, it says A, but that's F, right? If you change it to right, if you put that in the calculator, it does look like that when you graph,
got it.
right?
Okay.
And then you put in choice G, and right, and then it like looks
Hey,
like
Bobby,
this.
how much are they teaching how to use these calculators in high school? Are they spending a lot of time on it?
I don't think so. No, I think they just are like use a calculator, whatever. There are certain things, but yeah, a lot of times part of my tutoring is just showing students like things on the calculator, right?
Okay.
So that's it. So there's a bunch, I just show things. Okay, put things in the calculator. There's certain things, right? So that's the second strategy is just no tricks you can do on the calculator. That's why the first thing I do is give students a little list of calculator tricks. The third thing is geometry, just like remembering that they test very basic geometry stuff, basic angle rules, right? Pythagorean theorem, right? Like the area formulas for rectangle, triangle, and circle. And there will be just a little bit of trig, SOHCAHTOA, like sine, cosine, right? And the only strategies in geometry, this is kind of amazing. The only strategies you pretty much need is draw it if it's not drawn, label if it's not labeled, and write the formula that is stated in the problem. The formula is going to lead you to the answer. And the only other thing is when you see weird shapes, you chop them up into normal shapes. So
this would be 50 times 21. Yeah, B.
okay. So did you do that by imagining that you're chopping this up like that then? Right. So
Yeah.
this shape would be 5 times 10, right?
Yeah.
Which is 50. But yeah, this is the thing that the first time you do it, a lot of times people mess it up and they think that that thing's down there is 12, right? But yeah, you chop it up like that, it's 3 by 7, right? So that's 21, and you add it up, absolutely 71, right? And so that's the chopping shapes up into weird shapes. And the first time a student sees a question like that, they a lot of times can't figure out how to do that in their head.
Well, Bobby, okay, here's another question for you though.
Yeah.
I am under absolutely no pressure right now,
right,
to cough up that answer,
right?
right? We can talk when we're done with you showing us examples of how, and I guess it's practice. I mean, you and I've talked about this. It's practicing this stuff and just feeling comfortable that you're doing it the right way. Cause I think that's when people get the most screwed up, right? Is when they're like, I don't know, geez, and I make it harder than it is normally.
Well, and that is the thing is so on the test, right? That it's so stressful that you need like something to fall back on, just like practiced strategies like, oh, okay, that looks weird. I don't know what to do. Oh, I know I just need to chop it up, right? Okay, and then the last trick is word problems and arithmetic. The trick here, you don't read and think. Instead, you go to the end to see what they ask for, and then you work phrase by phrase. So this is a great example of the trick, right? So what is this problem asking us to calculate at the end?
How many students are taking composition?
Right. Okay. Now we start at the beginning and we read just far enough to write something down. So the first thing we're going to write down is the number 120. Right.
Yep.
Now, what is the next calculation?
Composition, 1/4.
So nope, still up there on the top line.
Well, it's there, but you don't need it.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
Oh, it is. See, this is where I get in trouble. And 1/3.
So we have to go phrase by phrase, right? So the next calculation, 1/3 literature.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And I'm going to go ahead and do that math right now. Okay, that's 40. But now, what's the next calculation?
Of the students not taking literature.
You have to stop right there, and that's what students miss.
Yep.
Because
80.
there's not a number there. So that's 80 is not literature. And now we can do the 1/4 composition.
Yep.
Right? And that's the trick is
20.
That's not math. That's reading. Right?
It's reading and logic, right? It's like
it is reading and logic, absolutely.
Well, it goes
that's
back
the
to
thing.
taking your time, Bobby,
But
because
you
I
see
went,
exactly what it is you have
yeah.
to slow down and go phrase by phrase because, yeah, you wanted to jump straight to the, okay, 1/4 is composition. And that's why, yeah, and students will, choose 30 as the answer. That's exactly what happens. And that's what the test is just a bunch of this. But you see, the thing is once you see this, then you're like, oh, well, there really isn't anything that scary about this test, right?
No, it's simple.
Right. And a lot of this stuff at the end, and this is the thing the trick is the last thing I want to point out, right? It's when you get to the hard questions, it's not that they're actually hard. It's easy and medium stuff smushed together
Yep.
or little tricks like that. Like that question we just read would be like would be in the medium section, but it's not, it is not medium difficulty. It only is because it's a trick, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
reading trick. And that's what you realize is like, oh, at the end of the test, there is some actual hard stuff, but a lot of it is just more steps. And that's why you have to go step by step. And that is it. So we will continue this series. We're going to talk about the changes to reading and science next time, and then we'll just keep going. But that's it. So there's math.
I kind of want to take this test now because I think I can. I could
You
actually
would
do
do
it
very
well.
well. Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome.
Exactly. All right. Well, this is great. I'll talk to you next week, and we'll just keep going.
All right.